The church smelled like old wood and rain that Sunday morning when Maya dropped her hymn book. It slid under the pew in front of her, and when she bent down to fish it out, her fingers touched something else. A folded piece of paper, yellowed at the edges and soft like cloth. She tucked it into her pocket without thinking much about it. The sermon droned on about forgiveness and second chances. Reverend Thomas's voice rising and falling like a lullaby. Maya's mama sat beside her, hands folded in her lap, eyes closed like she was praying real hard. Her daddy was on the other side, staring at the stained glass window where Jesus held a lamb. After church, Maya helped her mama set out the Sunday dinner. Fried chicken, collard greens, cornbread with butter melting into every corner. Her daddy carved the chicken with steady hands, the same hands that had built the back porch, fixed her bicycle when she was 7, held her mama's hand during their 30th anniversary party just last month. "You feeling all right, baby girl?" her mama asked, passing the sweet tea. "You look distracted." Maya forced a smile. "Just tired, I guess." The letter burned in her pocket like a secret trying to get out. She didn't know why she hadn't mentioned it yet. Maybe because finding old things in church always felt a little bit sacred, like accidentally opening someone else's prayer. Or maybe it was the way it had been hidden so carefully, pushed way back where nobody would find it unless they were really looking. After dinner, Maya excused herself and went out to the porch swing. The afternoon sun was gentle, filtering through the magnolia tree her grandmother had planted 40 years ago. She pulled out the letter and unfolded it carefully. The paper crinkled under her fingers. The handwriting was neat and slanted, written in blue ink that had faded to gray in places. At the top, there was a date, June 15th, 1994. Maya's heart skipped. That was the year before she was born. "My darling Robert." Maya's breath caught. Robert was her daddy's name. "I can't keep meeting you like this. Every Sunday, sitting in that church, pretending we're just two people who happen to know each other. My husband sits 3 pews behind yours, and your wife sits right next to you, and I feel like I'm going to burst into flames from the guilt of it all." Maya's hands started shaking. She read the words again, slower this time, hoping she'd misunderstood. But there it was, clear as day. Her daddy's name, a woman who wasn't her mama. "Last night was the last time, Robert. I mean it this time. I know I've said it before, but I can't do this anymore. I love you. God help me, I do. But I can't be the reason your family falls apart. And I can't keep breaking my own husband's heart, even if he doesn't know it yet." The porch swing creaked as Maya shifted her weight. Inside the house, she could hear her parents laughing about something. Her mama's voice, light and happy. Her daddy's deep chuckle that always made everything feel safe. "I'm leaving this letter under the pew where we always sit, where you always look at me when you think no one's watching. If you find it, you'll know I mean what I say. If you don't find it, then maybe that's God's way of telling me to speak up and face you like a woman instead of hiding behind words on paper. Either way, this is goodbye. Please don't try to change my mind. Please don't show up at my door. Let me do this one good thing even if everything else we did was wrong. Forever yours, even though I can't be, Sarah." Maya sat there for a long time, the letter trembling in her hands. Sarah. She knew that name. Sarah Mitchell, who used to sing in the church choir before she and her husband moved away to Atlanta. Maya remembered her vaguely. A pretty woman with red hair and a sad smile, who always brought pecan pie to church functions. The screen door opened, and Maya quickly folded the letter and shoved it under her leg. "There you are," her daddy said, stepping onto the porch. He looked tired but content, the way he always did on Sunday afternoons. "Your mama's asking if you want some pie." "Maybe later," Maya said, her voice sounding strange in her own ears. He sat down beside her on the swing, setting it rocking gently. For a minute, they just sat there, not saying anything. Maya studied his face, the lines around his eyes, the gray in his hair, the small scar on his chin from when he'd fallen off a ladder 10 years ago. This was her daddy, the man who'd taught her to fish, who'd scared off her first boyfriend just by standing on the porch with his arms crossed, who'd cried at her high school graduation. "You sure you're all right?" he asked. "You've been quiet all day." "I'm fine," she lied. He nodded, but she could tell he didn't quite believe her. He never did when she was hiding something. You know you can talk to me about anything, right? That's what I'm here for. Maya's throat tightened. She wanted to pull out the letter and throw it at him, demand answers, make him explain how he could sit here acting like everything was perfect when he'd done this terrible thing. But she also wanted to tear the letter into tiny pieces and pretend she'd never found it. Some things, once you knew them, you couldn't unknow. They changed everything. I know, Daddy, she whispered. He kissed the top of her head and went back inside, the screen door slapping shut behind him. Maya pulled out the letter again and read it one more time, memorizing every word. Then she folded it carefully and put it back in her pocket. That night, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to the familiar sounds of her parents getting ready for sleep. Water running in the bathroom. Her mama's voice, muffled through the walls, saying something that made her daddy laugh. The creak of their bed as they settled in. These were the sounds of her childhood. The soundtrack of a home she'd always thought was happy. Had her mama known? Was that why she sometimes got that faraway look in her eyes, like she was somewhere else entirely? Or had she been in the dark all these years, trusting a man who'd betrayed her? Maya rolled over and pulled the covers up to her chin. Tomorrow was Monday. Her mama would make coffee and pancakes. Her daddy would read the newspaper and complain about the potholes on Highway 49. They'd move through their routines like they always did, and Maya would have to decide whether to keep this secret or blow up their lives with the truth. The letter felt like a bomb ticking in her dresser drawer, where she'd finally hidden it under her sweaters. How long had it been under that pew? 29 years, if the date was right. Almost 3 decades of sitting there waiting to be found. Waiting to ruin everything. Maya closed her eyes and tried to sleep, but all she could see was her daddy's face. The way he'd smiled at her on the porch. The way he'd said she could talk to him about anything. Anything except this. Morning came too soon. Pale light creeping through Maya's curtains and pulling her out of restless dreams. She'd been back in the church, watching the letter multiply and scatter across all the pews, each one revealing a different secret, a different betrayal. Downstairs, her mama was already in the kitchen, humming along to the gospel station on the radio. The smell of coffee filled the house, warm and familiar. Maya came down in her pajamas, her hair tangled from tossing and turning all night. "Good morning, sweet girl," her mama said, flipping a pancake. "You want blueberries in yours?" "Sure," Maya said, sliding into her chair at the table. Her mama looked like she always did on Monday mornings. Hair pulled back in a bun, wearing her favorite apron with sunflowers on it, moving around the kitchen with the easy grace of someone who'd made breakfast in this same spot for 30 years. She was 54 now, but she still had that soft prettiness that made people tell Maya she looked just like her. "You were restless last night," her mama said, not turning around. "I heard you moving around up there. Something on your mind?" Maya's hand went automatically to her pocket before she remembered the letter was upstairs. "Just couldn't sleep." Her mama slid a plate of pancakes in front of her. 3 perfect circles with butter melting on top. "You've been acting strange since church yesterday. Did something happen?" "No, Mama." Maya rose. "I've known you since before you took your first breath. You can't fool me." Maya poured syrup over her pancakes, watching it pool and run. Her middle name was Rose, after her mama's mother. Her daddy used to say she had her grandmother's stubborn streak and her mama's kind heart. What would he say if he knew she'd found his secret? Her daddy came down then, already dressed for work in his mechanic's coveralls. He kissed her mama on the cheek, a quick, comfortable gesture, and poured himself coffee. "Morning, ladies." "Morning," Maya said, studying them together. They moved around each other like dancers who knew every step by heart. Her mama handed him the sugar without him asking. He refilled her coffee cup without her having to point to it. 31 years of marriage, and they still seemed to fit together like puzzle pieces. Except maybe they didn't. Maybe it was all a lie, held together by her mama's ignorance and her daddy's guilt. "You working on the Henderson truck today?" her mama asked. "Yep. Transmission's shot. Gonna be a long one." He sat down across from Maya and reached for the pancakes. "What about you, baby girl? You got classes today? Maya was taking online courses at the community college, studying to be a teacher. She still lived at home to save money, which had always felt like a blessing until yesterday. Now she felt trapped, stuck in this house with people she wasn't sure she knew anymore. Just one, she said. At 2, they ate breakfast together, talking about small things, the weather, the Henderson truck, whether they needed more milk from the store. Normal things. Safe things. Maya wanted to scream. How could they sit here acting like everything was fine? How could her daddy eat pancakes and drink coffee and kiss her mama goodbye like he hadn't broken his marriage vows 29 years ago? After he left for work, Maya helped her mama clean up the kitchen. They worked in silence for a while, washing and drying dishes, wiping down counters. It was companionable, the kind of quiet that came from being comfortable with someone. Mama, Maya said suddenly, do you remember Sarah Mitchell? Her mama's hands stilled in the dishwater. For just a second, something flickered across her face, too quick for Maya to name. Then she smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Sarah Mitchell? My goodness, I haven't thought about her in years. Why do you ask? I just remembered her yesterday at church. Didn't she used to sing in the choir? She did. Beautiful voice, that woman. Her mama scrubbed at a plate that was already clean. She and her husband moved away in 94, I think. Maybe 95. I can't quite remember. Did you know her well? Well enough, I suppose. She was friendly. Quiet, though. Kept to herself mostly. Her mama pulled the plug and watched the water drain. Why this sudden interest in Sarah Mitchell? Maya shrugged, trying to look casual. No reason. Just curious. But her mama was watching her now with those sharp eyes that saw everything. Maya rose. What's going on? Nothing, Mama. I promise. Her mama dried her hands on a dish towel and reached out to touch Maya's face, her palm cool and gentle. You know you can tell me anything, right? There's nothing in this world you could say that would make me love you any less. Maya's eyes burned with sudden tears. Could she say the same thing to her mama? That there was nothing she could hear that would change how she felt? But maybe that was different. Parents were supposed to love their children no matter what. But finding out your husband had cheated on you, that was different. That could break a person. I know, Mama, she whispered. Her mama kissed her forehead and went upstairs to make the beds. Maya stood in the kitchen alone, surrounded by the smell of coffee and pancakes and dish soap. Everything looked the same as it always had. The yellow curtains, the ceramic rooster on the windowsill, the family pictures on the wall. But it all felt different now, like she was looking at a stage set instead of a real home. She went upstairs and pulled the letter from her dresser drawer. In the daylight, it looked even older, more fragile. She could see where the ink had smudged in one corner, like maybe water had dripped on it. Or tears. Maya grabbed her purse and her car keys. She needed to get out of this house, away from her parents and their perfect routine and the lie they were living. She needed to think. She drove aimlessly for a while, past the high school where she'd graduated 3 years ago, past the diner where she used to work summers, past the park where her daddy had pushed her on the swings when she was little. Everything in this town held memories, and now all of them felt tainted. Finally, she pulled into the parking lot of the public library. It was a small brick building with ivy growing up one side, quiet and cool inside. Maya found an empty table in the back corner and spread out her notebook like she was studying. But really, she just needed a place to sit and think. She pulled out the letter and read it again, looking for clues she might have missed. The handwriting was definitely a woman's, loopy and careful, the kind of writing that came from someone who took her time. The date was clear, June 15th, 1994, the year before Maya was born. That timing made her stomach hurt. Had her mama gotten pregnant right after this affair ended? Had her daddy come back to his wife and tried to make things right by having a baby? Was Maya supposed to be some kind of fix for their broken marriage? No, she couldn't think like that. She was a person, not a band-aid. But the thought wouldn't leave her alone. Her whole life she'd been the only child. Her parents had tried for more, her mama had told her once, but it never happened. Was that because something broke between them after Sarah Mitchell? Because the trust was gone? Even if her mama didn't know why? Maya's phone buzzed. A text from her mama. Where did you run off to? You okay? She texted back. Library. Studying. I'm fine. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, okay. Love you. Love you too, Maya typed and felt like a liar. She stayed at the library until her online class started, then went home and sat through an hour of educational psychology, barely hearing a word the professor said. Her mind kept wandering back to the letter, to Sarah Mitchell's words. Forever yours, even though I can't be. After class, Maya made herself a sandwich and ate it standing at the kitchen counter. The house was quiet. Her mama was at her book club, and her daddy wouldn't be home until 6. Maya had the whole afternoon to herself, and she knew exactly what she needed to do. She went back upstairs and opened her laptop. It took less than 5 minutes to find Sarah Mitchell on social media. She was still pretty, though her red hair was streaked with gray now. She lived in Atlanta just like her mama had said, worked as a real estate agent, posted pictures of her garden and her grandkids and her husband, the same man she'd been married to all those years ago, apparently. They'd made it. They'd survived whatever had happened. Maya scrolled through Sarah's photos, looking for something she couldn't name. Some sign of the woman who'd written that letter. Some hint of lingering sadness or regret. But Sarah looked happy in every picture. Smiling at the camera, arms around her grandchildren, standing in front of a sold sign. Maybe she'd forgotten all about Robert Wheeler. Maybe it had just been a mistake, a moment of weakness, something she'd left behind in that little church in Mississippi 29 years ago. Or maybe she still thought about him. Maybe she wondered if he'd ever found the letter. Maya closed the laptop and lay back on her bed, staring at the ceiling. What was she supposed to do with this information? If she confronted her daddy, everything would change. Her mama would be devastated. Her parents might split up. The home she'd always known would shatter into pieces. But if she said nothing, she'd have to carry this secret forever. She'd have to look at her daddy every day knowing what he'd done. She'd have to watch her mama trust him, love him, never knowing he'd betrayed her. There was no good choice here, just bad and worse. Her daddy came home at 6:30, smelling like motor oil and sweat. He kissed her mama hello and asked what was for dinner. They moved through their evening routine. Dinner at the table, dishes afterward, watching the news together on the couch. Her daddy's arm around her mama's shoulders. Her mama's head resting against his chest. Maya watched them from the doorway, feeling like a spy in her own home. How did people do this? How did they keep secrets this big and still act normal? Or maybe her daddy had convinced himself it didn't matter anymore. Maybe 29 years was long enough to bury something and forget it was ever there. You coming to watch with us? Her mama called. I'm tired, Maya said. Think I'll turn in early. Upstairs, she pulled out the letter again. She'd read it so many times now that she had it memorized, but she couldn't stop looking at it. It was like picking at a scab, painful but impossible to leave alone. Her phone rang. Emma, her best friend since elementary school. Hey girl, Emma said. You want to come out tonight? A bunch of us are going to Riley's bar. I can't, Maya said. I'm not feeling great. You sick? Something like that. Emma was quiet for a second. She knew Maya better than almost anyone. What's wrong? And don't say nothing, because I can hear it in your voice. Maya wanted to tell her. Emma would know what to do. Emma was practical and smart and didn't take nonsense from anybody. But this felt too big to share, even with her best friend. This was her family's secret, and once she told someone else, it would stop being a secret and become a fact that existed in the world. Just family stuff, Maya said finally. Nothing serious. If you need to talk, I'm here. You know that, right? I know. Thanks, Em. After she hung up, Maya sat on her bed and cried. She wasn't even sure what she was crying about. Her daddy's betrayal, her mama's innocence, or her own loss of the family she'd thought she had. Maybe all of it at once. She must have cried herself to sleep, because the next thing she knew, it was morning and sun was streaming through her window. She could hear her parents downstairs, getting ready for another day. The coffee maker beeping, her mama's footsteps in the kitchen, her daddy's voice saying something about the weather. Maya got up and splashed water on her face. In the mirror, she looked older somehow. Tired. Like she'd aged a decade overnight. She went downstairs in her robe, her eyes still puffy from crying. "Good morning," her mama said, then stopped. "Maya, honey, what's wrong? You look awful." "Thanks, mama," Maya said, trying to smile. "No, I mean it. Are you sick?" Her mama pressed a hand to Maya's forehead. "You don't feel warm." "I'm fine. Just didn't sleep well." Her daddy looked up from his newspaper. "That's 2 nights in a row, baby girl. You worried about something?" Maya poured herself coffee and sat down at the table. This was it. This was her moment to say something, to ask the question that would change everything. All she had to do was open her mouth and let the words out. "I found something," she said. Both her parents looked at her. "Waiting. At church on Sunday. I dropped my hymn book, and when I reached under the pew, I found an old letter." Her daddy went very still. The newspaper trembled slightly in his hands, so slight she almost missed it. Her mama just looked confused. "A letter?" her mama asked. "What kind of letter?" Maya pulled it from her robe pocket and laid it on the table between them. "This kind." Her daddy's face went pale. He stared at the letter like it was a snake coiled up and ready to strike. Her mama reached for it, but he grabbed her wrist. Too hard, from the way she winced. "Don't," he said. "Don't what?" "Robert, you're hurting me." He let go immediately, but the damage was done. Her mama looked from him to the letter to Maya, understanding starting to dawn in her eyes. "What is that?" she asked quietly. "Mama, maybe you shouldn't." Maya started, but her mama snatched the letter and unfolded it. The kitchen went silent except for the ticking of the clock and the hum of the refrigerator. Maya watched her mama's face as she read, watched the color drain from her cheeks, watched her mouth tighten into a thin line. When she finished, she carefully folded the letter and set it back on the table. Then she stood up and walked out of the kitchen. "Linda," her daddy called, standing up. "Linda, wait." But she was already gone, her footsteps heavy on the stairs. A door slammed upstairs. Her daddy stood there with his hands hanging at his sides, looking lost. "Daddy," Maya whispered. He looked at her then, really looked at her, and she saw everything in his eyes, shame and guilt and fear and something that might have been relief. Like he'd been waiting 29 years for this moment. And now that it was here, at least it was over. "I'm sorry," he said. "God, Maya. I'm so sorry you had to find that. Is it true? Did you have an affair with Sarah Mitchell?" He sank back into his chair and put his head in his hands. "It was a long time ago. That's not an answer." "Yes," he said finally, his voice muffled. "Yes, it's true. It happened. It was wrong. And I've regretted it every day since. But yes, it happened." Maya felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. Part of her had still been hoping there was some explanation, some way this could all make sense. But there wasn't. Her daddy had cheated on her mama. That was the simple, terrible truth. "Does mama know?" she asked. "Did she know before today?" "No, I never told her. Sarah and we ended it before it could get any worse. She moved away, and I spent the rest of my life trying to be the husband your mama deserved. Trying to make up for what I'd done." "You can't make up for something if the other person doesn't know you did it," Maya said. "I know that now." Upstairs, they could hear her mama moving around. Drawers opening and closing. The sound of something heavy being dragged across the floor. "You need to go talk to her," Maya said. "She won't want to talk to me. You have to try." Her daddy stood up slowly, like he'd aged 20 years in the last 5 minutes. He looked at Maya one more time, his eyes pleading for something she couldn't give him. Forgiveness, maybe, or understanding. Then he went upstairs. Maya sat alone in the kitchen, listening to the murmur of voices overhead. Her mama's voice, high and angry. Her daddy's voice, low and steady. Then her mama's voice again, louder now. Words Maya couldn't make out, but the pain in them was clear. She picked up the letter and held it in her hands. This piece of paper, tucked away for nearly 30 years, had just destroyed her family in a matter of minutes. Maybe she should have left it under the pew. Maybe some secrets were meant to stay hidden. But no, that wasn't right either. Her mama deserved to know the truth, even if it hurt. Everyone deserved to know the truth about their own lives. The voices upstairs got louder. Something crashed, a lamp maybe, or a picture frame. Maya flinched. Then her mama's voice rang out, clear as a bell. Get out. Footsteps on the stairs. Her daddy appeared in the kitchen doorway, his face wet with tears. She wants me to leave, he said. Are you going to? I don't know. I don't know what to do. He grabbed his keys from the hook by the door. I'm going to give her some space. Let her calm down. Then maybe she'll talk to me. Daddy, I don't think. But he was already out the door, the screen door banging shut behind him. Maya heard his truck start up and drive away. Then silence. She went upstairs and knocked on her parents' bedroom door. Mama. No answer. Mama, can I come in? Go away, Maya. Please. Let me help. You've helped enough. Her mama's voice was thick with tears. You brought that letter home. You showed it to me. You destroyed everything. Maya felt like she'd been slapped. I didn't destroy anything. Daddy did that 29 years ago. I just found the truth. Well, congratulations. Now we all know the truth, and everything's ruined. Are you happy now? Maya pressed her forehead against the door. No, Mama. I'm not happy. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Inside the room, her mama was crying. Deep, wrenching sobs that broke Maya's heart. She wanted to go in there and hold her mama, tell her everything would be okay. But she couldn't get through the locked door, and she didn't know if everything would be okay. Maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe this was the end of her parents' marriage, the end of her family as she knew it. She went back to her room and sat on her bed, feeling numb. What had she done? Her daddy was gone, her mama was falling apart, and it was all because Maya had picked up that letter. She could have left it there. She could have thrown it away without reading it. But she hadn't, and now there was no going back. Her phone buzzed. A text from her daddy. I'm at the shop. Tell your mama I love her. Tell her I'm sorry. Tell her I'll wait as long as it takes for her to forgive me. Maya didn't respond. What could she say? That her mama was locked in her room crying? That she'd told him to get out? That she might never forgive him? She lay down and closed her eyes, wishing she could go back to Sunday morning. Back to the moment before she dropped her hymn book. Back to when her family was still whole even if it was built on a lie. 3 days passed. 3 days of her mama barely speaking, moving through the house like a ghost. 3 days of her daddy sleeping at the shop, calling every few hours to check in, his voice heavy with worry and guilt. 3 days of Maya stuck in the middle, trying to hold together a family that was falling apart. On the 4th day, Maya woke up to find her mama sitting at the kitchen table, still in her nightgown, staring at nothing. The coffee maker was cold. The dishes from yesterday's dinner were still in the sink. Mama, Maya said gently, have you eaten anything? Her mama didn't answer. Maya made coffee and toast, set a plate in front of her mama. You need to eat something. I'm not hungry. Mama, please. You can't just stop living because of this. Her mama looked at her then, and Maya was shocked by how much older she looked. For days. And it was like she'd lost 10 years of her life. Can't I? Tell me, Maya, what exactly am I supposed to do? Go on like nothing happened? Pretend your father didn't spend God knows how long lying to me. I don't know, Maya admitted. But you have to do something. You can't just give up. Maybe I want to give up. Maybe I'm tired of trying to be strong and perfect and understanding all the time. Her mama's voice cracked. Do you know what it feels like? Knowing that while I was planning our anniversary party, while I was making his favorite meals and doing his laundry and being a good wife, he was thinking about another woman? Maybe even still in love with her. I don't think he's in love with her, Mama. It was a long time ago. You don't know that. You don't know anything about it. Her mama pushed the plate away. Neither do I, apparently. 31 years of marriage, and I don't even know my own husband. Maya sat down across from her. Do you want to know? About what happened? Maybe Daddy can explain. Explain what? How he betrayed me. How he made a fool of me. How he sat in church every Sunday next to me, knowing what he'd done. Her mama laughed bitterly. No, I don't want his explanations. I don't want his apologies. I don't want anything from him. Mama, that's not true. You're hurt right now. But don't tell me what I feel. Her mama stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. You're 20 years old, Maya. You've never been married. You've never had someone you trusted with your whole heart turn around and stab you in the back. So don't you dare tell me what I feel or what I should do. She stormed out of the kitchen. A minute later, Maya heard the front door open and close. Through the window, she saw her mama get in her car and drive away. Maya called her daddy. He answered on the first ring. Is she okay? No, she's not okay. She just left. I don't know where she went. Damn it. He sighed heavily. This is all my fault. I should have told her years ago. I should have. Should-haves don't help now, Daddy. I know that. He was quiet for a moment. Maya, I need to tell you something. Something you deserve to know. Her stomach clenched. What? That affair with Sarah. It only lasted a few months. March to June of 1994. I swear to you, nothing happened before that and nothing happened after. When I found her letter under the pew, yes, I did find it that same Sunday she left it. I knew she was right. I knew we had to end it. So I did. I came home, and I tried to be the man your mama deserved. And you never told her. I was a coward. I convinced myself that telling her would just hurt her for no reason, since it was over. But really, I was just too scared to face what I'd done. His voice broke. I love your mama, Maya. I've loved her since we were 17 years old. What I did with Sarah, it wasn't about love. It was about being stupid and selfish and thinking I could have something on the side without consequences. Everyone has consequences, Daddy. I know that now. He paused. When your mama's ready to talk, will you tell her I'm here? That I'll always be here, waiting. I'll tell her. After she hung up, Maya sat in the empty kitchen and cried. For her mama's broken heart. For her daddy's guilt. For the family she'd thought she had and the family she actually had. Nothing was simple. Nothing was black and white. Just shades of gray and hurt and people trying their best and failing anyway. Her mama came home hours later, her eyes red but dry. She'd gone to her sister's house in Jackson, she said. Aunt Paula had given her tea and tissues and told her she had every right to be furious. She also said I need to decide what I want, her mama said, sitting on the couch. Do I want a divorce? Do I want to try to work it out? Do I want to just figure out what comes next? What do you want? Maya asked carefully. I don't know. Her mama twisted her wedding ring around her finger. Part of me wants to pack his things and throw them in the yard. Part of me wants to, God help me. Part of me wants to forgive him. That's not weakness, Mama. Feels like it. She looked at Maya. Would you forgive him? If you were me? Maya thought about it honestly. I don't know. Maybe. Eventually. People make mistakes, right? This wasn't a mistake. A mistake is when you forget to pick up milk at the store. This was a choice. He chose to betray me. Again and again. Every time he met with her. I know. Her mama was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I need to talk to Sarah. Maya's eyes widened. What? I need to hear it from her. I need to know exactly what happened, how it started, why it started. Your daddy will just tell me what he thinks I want to hear. But Sarah, she wrote that letter. She tried to end it. Maybe she'll tell me the truth. Mama, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't care what you think. Her mama stood up with new determination in her eyes. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to find Sarah Mitchell and I'm going to get some answers. And you're coming with me. They left early the next morning, before the sun was fully up. Her mama drove with both hands on the wheel, her jaw set and her eyes fixed on the road ahead. Maya sat in the passenger seat, watching the Mississippi countryside roll by. Cotton fields and pine trees and small towns that looked just like their own. Does Daddy know where we're going? Maya asked. I left him a